The Café Vernon is a target under siege. In a city gripped by the fear of dynamite attacks, the French government has placed this particular building under constant watch, with an armed gendarme pacing outside the illuminated doorway. Yet the true threat is already sitting comfortably at one of the round tables inside. A man named Dupree watches the door, sipping a glass of absinthe, keeping a close eye on the waiter serving the room. That waiter, the garçon, is the sole reason Dupree is here. Recently, the garçon tipped off the authorities, leading to the arrest of Dupree's close friend, Herzog. Dupree approaches the act of killing as a student would a rigid mathematical proof. He is a methodical man who suppresses his personal grudge in favor of cold calculation. To achieve his revenge without a trace, he begins designing a delivery system that removes every variable of human error, ensuring he remains untouched by the law. Looking at this page from the original text, we can see Dupree establishing 3 strict parameters. First, the explosion must happen inside the cafe. Second, it must be executed so deftly that no suspicion falls on him. And third, he must survive the blast. He immediately discards standard explosive tools. A burning fuse or a clockwork mechanism is unreliable, and worse, it leaves behind physical evidence that investigators can trace straight back to the bomb maker. He also calculates the odds of simply throwing an impact-sensitive bomb from the street. The physics are entirely against him. A slight miscalculation in his throw, and the bomb strikes the stone facade or the pavement. That would alert the guards and leave the waiter completely unharmed. With the obvious methods ruled out, Dupree retreats to his apartment, room 16, situated directly above the cafe. He stares out the window, looking for a way to bridge the distance between his safe vantage point and the target below. Then he finds his solution in gravity. By attaching the explosive to a precisely measured length of cord, he can use the windowsill as a pivot point. He can swing the explosive in a perfect pendulum arc, sending it through the open cafe doors before it detonates. He runs the mental calculations. He figures out the exact length of twine required to clear the street but enter the doorway, factoring in the timing of the swing to ensure the bomb strikes the interior ceiling of the cafe. With the math completed, he sets his alibi. This illustration shows Dupree leaving his building to strike up a casual conversation with the very gendarmes stationed to protect the cafe. He walks to a nearby corner shop, buys a bottle of toothache drops, and makes sure the sleepy clerk explains how to use them. He returns, thanks the policeman, and heads back up to his room. By establishing himself as a suffering tenant with a minor ailment just minutes before the blast, he has turned the gendarme into a witness for his innocence. He has engineered a defense using the police's own surveillance. Back in room 16, Dupree works in total darkness. He tests the friction of the twine against the wooden sill, ensuring the string will glide smoothly without snagging. He unpacks stolen dynamite cartridges, binding them tightly to form a single, highly sensitive canister that will detonate the moment it strikes a hard surface. He takes a heavy hammer and drives a single stout nail deep into the windowsill. This piece of iron will take the full physical load of the pendulum swing. He ties the measured cord to the nail. The abstract geometry of his plan is now a physical mechanism, armed and waiting in the dark. As we see in this illustration, Dupree steps to the window. He holds the canister in his hand, checks the street below, and launches the bomb out into the night. The tether catches. The bomb drops, sweeping inward, the cord dangling inches above the pacing policeman's head as the payload enters the brightly lit cafe. The text on this page captures the immediate devastation. The building heaves upward like a drunken man. The street lamps shatter into darkness, and a massive square of plaster collapses onto Dupre's table. Through the muffled roar and trembling floorboards, Dupre completes his final mechanical task. He pulls the cord back up, notes the shriveled end, and cuts it away. Outside, panicked crowds gather as a thick cloud of smoke rolls from the ruined storefront. Inside room 16, there is only silent, calculated efficiency. Dupre leaves his room, stumbling down the debris-covered stairs. He emerges into the street playing the role he rehearsed, a terrified, half-asleep tenant violently woken by the blast. He spots the gendarme from earlier, now covered in dust and dazed by the shockwave. Dupre immediately asks who was inside. The officer confirms the result. The owner, 2 customers, and the garçon took the absolute center of the explosion. The target is dead. Dupre's mask of terror holds perfectly. With his alibi intact and the police suspecting a cowardly outside attack, he steps forward into the wreckage, offering his help to the very people he just destroyed. He executed every step of his geometry proof without a single error, and in doing so, he proved that a cold mathematical mind is far more lethal than the explosive itself.